Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm your host, Julie Grant. It's great to have you along with us on this Tuesday. So here's what we're doing today on Court TV. We are diving deep and showing you every moment of Wendi Adelson's interview with police. And this was later on the day, on July 18th, 2014, when her husband, Dan Markel, was shot and killed. Now remember, he was murdered in his own driveway. And now, almost 10 years later, members of the Adelson family are starting to fall like dominoes. Remember, brother Charlie was convicted last month of Dan Markel's murder. And now Mama Adelson, Donna, is behind bars. She's facing murder charges as well. And many are wondering, will Wendi be next? Right now, let's listen to more of her interview with police as she's detailing her last interaction with Dan Markel.
Our last interaction wasn't nice.
What are you talking about, personal?
I'm just looking here. I didn't want him to take the boys this afternoon. I had wanted to have them. And I talked over with my brother and realized, you know, if their dad wants to take them swimming, it's not worth getting upset over. He sent me that message at 9:15 this morning.
You were telling me before, when we were riding up here, that the agreement was that you're all going to have some type of phone call at 11:15 this morning. Is that correct?
Well, not exactly, just that we needed to have the talk at some point before. We have to decide before Monday what to do about his school, where Ben's going to go to school. And he said, I'm going to be done. I thought it was 11:15, but when we listened to the message, it was 10:30.
Okay.
When he said, I'm going to be out of, he went to like a workout class at the gym.
At Premier.
At Premier.
Mm-hmm.
Said, I'm going to be out of it by such and such a time. You can call me then. And I called, but I think we could see what time I called him. I thought it was more of like, let's see, recent calls. I called him. Well, that's him calling in at 9:02. I called him at 11:42 and got his answering machine.
He called you at 9:02?
He called me at 9:02.
Mm-hmm.
The repair guy was there, and honestly, I leave my ringer off a lot of the time, so I didn't even hear the call come in. He left me a message. I called him at 11:42 and left him a message, just saying, okay, I want to talk about school for Ben, and I assume I'll see you at 4:30 today. When I figured he's going to take the kids swimming,
right,
and he'll drop them at the house at 4:30.
Okay, so in other words, the whole meeting at 10:30 or 11:15 didn't happen. Right, okay. All right. Let me get this. There's a lot of information on here, okay? It'd probably be easier if I read it to you. Fine. Okay. I, Wendi Adelson, and I got to change this.
Adelson.
I know, I got to change that.
It's okay. It's Adelson.
Actually, it's spelled right. I said it wrong. Adelson. Do hereby authorize and give my permission to Investigator Adelson, who has identified himself to me as a law enforcement officer with necessary assistance of a digital forensic examiner to make a full and complete search of my cell phone or other digital media, along with data located on additional data sources, locations such as connected to, at, and were at the Tallahassee Police Department. That's the address. I have been advised that law enforcement are engaged in investigation concerning an alleged violation of federal or state law pertaining to a shooting incident. I do further authorize to give permission to take from my cell phone located at 230 47th Avenue.
I'm sorry, is that the police station?
That's where we're at right now. Yeah. Computers, cell phones, computer peripherals, digital media data which may or may not have a connection, value, or relevance as evidence in said investigation. The above law enforcement officer has fully and fairly advised me on rights as follows. I have the right to refuse consent of the search of my property. I have the right to consult with an attorney or any other person of my choice prior to giving them consent and permission to search the above described property. any cellular phones, computers, computer peripherals, and digital media or data, along with any data located on these items or on additional digital storage locations such items can connect to, found by said officers in the course of their search, can be used as evidence against me or others in a court of law. I fully understand and appreciate these rights and wish it be specifically understood that I'm hereby giving consent and permission to conduct the search of the cellular phones, computers, computer peripherals, and digital media data, along with any data located on any additional digital storage locations such items can connect to, solely because of my desire to freely and voluntarily cooperate and assist in this investigation. I have not been promised anything or been threatened or coerced in any way, nor has any inducement of any kind been held out to me in return for this consent and permission to search. Okay, can I have your phone now?
Yeah. Stupid question, but are you going to give it back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel like I need to help my family. What's going on?
No, you're going to get it back. It's just I'm trying to expedite this now so I can get it back to you sooner.
I understand.
Be right back.
When we come back, we're going to hear more from Wendi Adelson as she tells police how Dan Markel's death makes her worry for her own safety and the safety of their children.
We are moving closer to trial in the case against doomsday prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered human remains at Chad Daybell's residence.
There's no way, Morgan, I could ever come up with this.
His wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, has already been convicted.
Now, will her husband end up with the same fate?
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
It's the doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell, on trial.
There was a shooting at your home or your ex-husband's home at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
What's going on? I have a message from him this morning. What happened?
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. This morning we are watching Wendi Adelson, that is, taking a look back at her police interview the day that her ex-husband was shot and killed. And in this next clip, you'll hear her tell police about how this incident is causing her to fear for her children's safety.
We just have to eliminate everything. Okay, you know what she's saying, right?
I'm assuming I'm a suspect. I can't
No,
wait.
you're not a suspect. I don't consider you a suspect. I asked you to come up here. You came up here voluntarily. I'm not read you Miranda. You are not under arrest. You are the closest thing to family that I have to Daniel right now. Okay? You are.
I'm so sad for... I was thinking about something else. He told me that he comes... We have week on, week off, but on Wednesdays we do an overnight.
Right.
And he told me that he might have some work up in New York and he might not be back in time for the Wednesday overnight. So there's no way that he did this because he had all kinds of plans like for next week. That
You're saying he would not hurt himself?
No.
Okay, all right.
It wasn't him.
Okay. He has no reason to hurt himself or anything along that.
No, I mean, I can see him being really sad when we first got divorced.
Right.
But now he's got Amy and he loves those boys.
Okay.
And things were really good for him. There's no way he did this to himself.
Okay. I believe you.
Which really scares me because it means there's someone out there that's willing to do this to him, and I'm scared for the kids.
Okay. Okay. I understand I understand
They're at school right now, and I want to...
There's an officer at the school.
Okay.
The kids are fine.
Okay.
Okay, there's no...
I don't know how I'm going to tell them.
Well, we're going to help you with that. Okay? But here's what I have to do right now. And I'm just trying... I want to get this down, Pat. I know you don't have your phone to refer to.
Okay.
But that's okay.
You'll have all that information.
Right, because I'll check that against what you tell me.
Okay.
Your last phone conversation... Okay, your last personal contact, in other words, in person with Daniel, was when?
He goes by Danny.
Danny, okay.
No one calls him Daniel.
Yes. I don't know him, so I'm sorry.
I'm just telling you
Danny.
so that it just feels really impersonal. My last face-to-face contact with him, wow. We do a lot of like leave-off pickup at the school, right? Where one of us will take the kids to school, the other one picks them up. When was the last time I saw him? I definitely saw him when I picked the kids up. I feel like there's something since then, but that would have been...
Do you want to do these?
No, don't want to wait. I'm not familiar with the...
Okay, I'll get Annie because she wanted it before.
And that was that morning I drove down, so that was June 30th.
Okay.
Whatever that Monday morning was that we drove down to Miami. I saw him, I met Amy. Then we did a lot of Skype, like we'd Skype every day while I was gone. But that's not in person. I came back with my parents. We drove back all together. And then that Friday, which would have been last Friday, a week from today. So if today's the 18th, it was Friday the 11th. That's my other brother's birthday. And I would have seen him, but I had been with the kids for like 12 days straight, and I was getting really sad at the idea of drop-off of Danny coming to pick him up. And so my folks said, you know what, why don't you just... So at about 4:45, I just went over to a friend's house. I didn't see him that day. And then he had the kids, and I got some sort of laryngitis, and I was alone all weekend, so that was Saturday, Sunday. And then this week, I missed the kids, so I visited them at school on Monday and Tuesday.
They were staying with Danny?
They were with Danny that whole time, but Danny and I had started on days when we really missed the kids. We'd go have like lunch with them or breakfast with them, so I went and had lunch with them or read them a story. I saw them Monday, I saw them Tuesday. Wednesday was my overnight, and so that was Wednesday, and then he had them Thursday, was yesterday. Yeah. So that was the last time I had face-to-face contact with him.
Was?
June 30th.
June 30th, okay. And then yesterday, y'all were conversing on text about this phone call or about this discussion for Ben.
On email, I think,
okay.
About... we'd both spoken with an administrator at the school, and so yesterday morning I emailed him and said, I'd really love for him to go to this school. I think we should accept it. Here's why. And then I asked him a second question about Ben's birthday coming up, because I didn't have Ben on his birthday. And he wanted this Lego thing, and I wanted to make sure that no one else got it for him. So I asked him if he was going to do a party for Ben, so I knew ahead of time whether people would be bringing presents or whatever, and so I knew whether he would have gotten it from someone else or whether I should buy it for him. And he wrote back and said, when your voice feels better, let's talk, because my throat was really hurting. He said, let's talk. We need to work this out for Monday. And I sent him an email. You'll see it sometime this morning while I was home working on my paper that said, okay, I'm ready to talk whenever you are. I don't know what time I sent it, but if I called him at 11:40, it was either before I called him, because I thought normally he would have called.
Okay.
Like when he said I'm done with the class at 10:30, and I had said, okay, let's talk, and then sent him a call or an email, like, I thought it was weird I hadn't heard from him, but I just thought, like, oh, maybe he's busy with something or showering.
But he told you at some point that he was going to premiere this morning.
Yeah, no, that phone message says I'm going to premiere. I'll be out 10:15, 10:30. And so let's You could call me after that.
When did you receive that phone message?
Maybe after the repair guy left, so maybe at like, this morning, like at 11-ish or something.
Okay.
All right, what do you think of Wendi so far? I've got a lot of thoughts, and I want to know what thoughts my guests have. I want to welcome into the conversation attorneys Josh Ritter and Carl Steinbeck. Great to see you both on this Tuesday. Josh, would you start us off, please? What are you thinking as you're watching Wendi here?
I mean, her emotions obviously seem genuine. It seems like this is the way that somebody would react having to found out that the father of their children had just been killed. She's speaking through tears, trying to share information. But I don't trust myself enough. I'm not, I'm an armchair psychiatrist trying to analyze whether or not these genuine emotions are of someone just finding out about a murder that they had no idea about, or they're just finding out about a death that they may have had some knowledge about. I don't know. And that's the other problem, is that the law enforcement doesn't know. It's hard to appreciate just how difficult a position they're in, because they're just trying to gather information, and in front of them could very well be a suspect or could very well be a helpful witness, and they're doing their best, and I think he is doing a remarkable job of trying to just gather as much information while they have all of these, unsolved questions still in their heads.
Yeah, well said, Josh, well said. Carl, same question to you. What are your thoughts right now at this point of the interview of Wendi Adelson?
I think her initial reaction to hearing this terrible news is not normal. It's not something you're normally going to see when somebody gets this terrible news from somebody that is a father of your children having gunshots to the head. So she goes into this cry mode, but what she doesn't do is go into denial or shock mode, where she's asking for more details, saying, wait a minute, this can't be true. What are you saying? And if you really listen to the first 40 minutes, you get more of the flavor of that. So yeah, you do see some of these, actions indicating she's crying and stuff like that. We don't know if there's actual genuine tears or not, but you also keep in mind, she had a lot of pressure on her because the motions filed in the court against her by Dan Markel, they were accusing her of taking around $500,000 worth of assets. And also she had not returned the family heirloom ring from his side of the family, which was a ring that was descended down from a Holocaust survivor. So there's a lot more here at play to take into account. But so at first blush, you may think, oh, well, this seems normal. But the more you study this, the more you look at this, and the more you see the whole picture, it really looks like it's an acting job.
Carl, I love it. I love what you're sharing here. That context really helps, because we know she wasn't there. We know she didn't do the shooting, but she very well might have been a co-conspirator in this, like her brother Charlie, and perhaps, we'll see what happens, like her mother Donna. You mentioned some of these things at stake in that civil case going on. I think it's important to emphasize she was losing big time. She just got a ruling against her, did she not, by that family court judge about taking those kids to South Florida, Carl?
Yeah, the ruling actually happened a few months before that, but what was happening is that Danny was raising another motion asking for supervised visitation of her mother, Donna Adelson, who's now behind bars, because she was telling things to the boys that was being repeated to Dan, which was like, your dad is stupid, he's trying to take my sunshines away. So Dan's listening to this going, what? You're like trying to poison the kids' minds against me? And that's why he raised that motion, in addition to the one I just mentioned about the assets and the Holocaust survivor ring. So this thing was really a pressure cooker against her. And guess what? By Dan being executed, all that went away. She left town a couple days later and never had to face any of those accusations at all ever again.
Exactly, Carl. Changed the children's name, too, to Adelson. Didn't even keep her husband's last name. Yeah, she's really something else. I'm not buying what she's selling here. We're going to watch some more. I'm so glad you both are on the show. Carl Steinbeck, Josh Ritter, stand by, please. When we come back after this break, we're going to get some more insight into the divorce between Dan Markel and Wendi Adelson as she tells police her side of the story after his death. And she claims that he was emotionally abusive.
We are moving closer to trial in the case against Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered human remains at Chad Daybell's residence.
There's no way, Logan. I can never come up with this.
His wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, has already been convicted.
Now, will her husband end up with the same fate?
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
It's the Doomsday Prophet, Chad Daybell, on trial.
Let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay. And
oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott, and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was blocked.
And I just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something.
Wendi Adelson spoke with police just hours after her ex-husband was shot and killed. The two were going through a bitter custody battle, and Wendi was losing big time. And when police spoke with her on that dreadful day back in 2014, she talked about the last time she saw Dan Markel, and she told detectives that he was emotionally abusive towards her.
What time do your kids get out of school?
So, I think the school ends at like 5.
Okay.
But I usually pick them up early. Danny probably told him he was going to take them to Truesdale today, so they'll be expecting earlier. But 5, it would be times.
That's what time they close?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll stay open.
Okay. Okay.
They were supposed to be with me this week, so normal for them, other than this swim bit, would have been to spend the weekend with me. And
where did they sleep last night?
With Danny.
With Danny.
Yeah.
Okay. So Danny took them.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I got a call. So he has an alarm system in the house, and I must still be on the call list for people if there's a break-in. I got a call yesterday. I guess it'll be on the phone when it happened. I got a call from like the company with the alarm company that said like the alarm's been triggered, it's gone off. There's another family in town that we were really close with. The woman's name is Lynn, and she's on the list too, so she got a call. I know this because I saw her yesterday evening. I went to a friend's art gallery thing, and she happened to be there. It's a small town, and she said, "Oh, I guess I got a call from Trescott," and I said, "Oh, I got the same call." I said, "But I just figured it was fine." So they called yesterday, and I don't remember what time it was. Maybe the morning, maybe the evening, but it happens sometimes, every once in a while with weather or whatever, the alarm gets triggered, so I didn't think anything of it. But I wonder if there was like an attempted break-in yesterday.
I don't know. I'll have to check into that. Do you know what the alarm company is?
It's on my phone, right? The message that they left.
Sure.
I probably deleted it, but then I didn't delete my deleted messages, so if you look at deleted, you could find it.
Okay.
If not, I could probably figure it out. And Lynn could tell you.
Okay.
If you had to ask her.
That was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
But no calls today?
Mm-mm.
Where did the children sleep the night before? Have they been staying with Danny right along?
Yeah, except week on, week off, but with Wednesday overnights. So Wednesday night they were with me.
When you say Wednesday overnight, Wednesday.
It means like if it's a mommy week, then they're with you all week. Except Wednesday night they'd go to Danny.
Okay.
If it's a Danny week, so they're with him all week. Except Wednesday night they came to me.
All right, and then so Wednesday night.
That's the last time. I didn't tell you this, but I thought about it in the bathroom. I didn't have an interaction with him, but that's the last time I saw him was Wednesday. I picked up the kids and I was going to take them to Whole Foods.
Okay.
And I saw Danny working on his computer in the window of the Whole Foods, and I took him to BurgerFi instead.
Oh.
Because he and I were, divorced, and interactions with him were hard. And it was my one day with the kids, and I thought, well, if we go inside, it's going to be like all of us together, and I wanted time by myself with them. So I took them, but that's the last time I saw him. So I saw him sitting there Wednesday afternoon working.
He was inside Whole Foods?
He was inside Whole Foods with his computer, like, writing.
And the kids came out?
The kids didn't see him. We were just about to enter. I saw him. I thought, oh, my one day with the kids, you know, and so I went and got burgers instead.
Burger fry. Okay. All right. So then Thursday,
I got a call.
You got called about the alarm. Had you had any contact with the kids during that time?
On Thursday, I had them Wednesday night. I brought them to school on Thursday, and then no, not after I dropped them off.
Okay.
And there's a record at school of like when you log in, so I probably dropped them off a little before 9, but they could tell you what time.
All right. And then so then he kept them last night, Thursday night, and then he would have driven them to school. What time does he normally drop them off at school?
It varies. Sometimes he has breakfast with him. I got the call from him. It was 9:04, I think. So he must have already just dropped them off and was probably driving from school to the gym, and that's why he was saying, going to this class. I'll touch base with you after.
Okay. All right. And then no contact after that?
We had some texting contact. That's when I was saying that my last contact wasn't very nice. I was saying, well, I wanted to pick them up at 3, and he was saying, well, you are only allowed them after 4:30. And I was like, well, what about last week? I picked them up at 5, and he said I was just being nice. And I said, I guess nice was fun while it lasted.
Okay.
That's the last thing I said to him.
Okay. All right. His parents and his family, do you have contacts for them in your phone?
I have contacts for at least one of them.
Okay.
I think I've been recently deleting them just because they don't call me. But at least one of them, I can tell you his, like, I don't know whether it's his dad's name. His parents are actually recently divorced.
Okay, we'll get the phone back. You can supply those numbers.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll attempt to contact them.
Oh my God.
Find out where they're at least in Canada.
It's just the worst thing you could have happen.
No, I gotta ask you something. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you own a gun?
No.
Have you ever owned a gun? Have you ever fired a gun?
I think I went skate shooting about 12 years ago.
Okay, nothing since then? Does Danny own a gun?
Not that I know of, but maybe since I left. He didn't own a gun when I was with him.
Never had a gun around, or?
No.
Did he ever talk about buying a gun or anything?
He would talk about it, but he's a criminal law professor. Right. So sometimes he would talk about things just like to have a discussion about, like, should we have a gun in the home? Is it dangerous? Right. As far as I knew, there was no gun in the house.
Okay. You don't know anybody that he owed money to? You don't know anyone?
Just me.
I know, besides you. But that was under court order, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and we have lawyers, and he very much respects, as do I, the legal system, you know, so it was working its way through.
Okay.
But anyone he owes money to, I mean, he doesn't gamble, he doesn't drink, like, he doesn't have any vices, he doesn't do anything weird. I can't imagine. I mean, I think he annoys people with his, like, legal academia, and I think, like, in the ivory tower here, not like, I don't think he owed money to anyone. I can't imagine.
Okay. I mean, unless you have something I can't think of, I'm looking for some reason that someone would want to hurt him.
Not just hurt him.
Right.
I mean,
I know, but the intention.
I could see one of my friends wanting to shake him with a gun.
Right.
No. I don't know who would do this, and I'm very scared because I don't understand why this would happen. He and I got along fine for the sake of the kids. You heard the message where he was like, well, maybe we'll just take a walk around school. And I mean, I found him hard to be around, but so did a lot of people. They all knew he meant well. He was a decent, good human being. He wouldn't hurt anybody. He would never do this to anybody. I don't know who would want to hurt him like this. I really don't.
All right. I need to ask you, was your divorce, you said before, it had nothing to do with infidelity. No extramarital affairs or anything like that?
Neither one of us.
It was just simply the fact that you all just didn't get along anymore, or was it just the fact that he was belligerent to you?
He never hurt me physically, but he was emotionally abusive.
Okay.
And I didn't tell most people that, so all most people know is it just didn't work out, and it's just the kids are young, and this is just better this way. So other than my family, who saw the way he treated me, most people were, well, I think his family was very surprised. He told everyone around the community that I was mentally ill, because only a crazy person would leave him. And
okay.
So there's a lot. But, you know, who would, yeah, so that, I mean, that's it. The circumstances, plain and simple, where it just wasn't a really healthy marriage, and I thought it'd be better for the boys if they didn't grow up thinking that's the way you treat women. But he didn't hit me, he didn't hit them, he didn't have a drug problem, he didn't gamble, he didn't cheat on me, I didn't cheat on him. There's no other, I keep thinking the only unknown I can think of is Amy's ex-husband. Is he still in the picture? Is he upset? Danny, I defriended him from Facebook because I found it too upsetting to see intermittent pictures of the kids. But I wonder, he's very, very public on Facebook about where he is, when he's traveling, where he's going, and so I wonder if he's got pictures up of him and Amy, and if there's a jealous ex-husband in the...
You know where this ex-husband would be?
He'd be in New York too.
Is he also an attorney?
I don't even know his name.
Okay.
I just know when Amy came down here, they went over a mutual friend of ours. It's a guy that works at the law school, this guy Jay, and his wife Dory is a good friend of mine, and they have kids, my kid's age. And I said to her, I remember saying, so what's she like, she met her before I did, and she said, she's really nice, and she's, very sweet, and she's recently divorced too, so she knows how awkward all of this is to meet the new person. I don't know, and I'm scared.
Okay.
All right, I will say this. One thing very helpful to Wendi that makes her look good in the eyes of law enforcement is her willingness to turn over that cell phone for the forensic download to happen. Now, the other side of that coin is Wendi's smart. Remember, she's a lawyer. She knows how easy it is for law enforcement to extract messages or photos from a cell phone. So bear that in mind, too. When we come back, we're going to hear how she tries to get in front of being a suspect as she acknowledges that Danny's parents will likely point the finger at her.
Tonight on Court TV. These are the big cases that everyone is talking about.
A lot of new developments taking place.
Shocking.
I know who killed John Bonet.
To say the least.
You cannot make this stuff up.
It's unreal. The scene of the double murders is behind us right here. Things are happening. The investigation is continuing.
Closing arguments with Vinnie Politan. Tonight at 8, 7 Central. Only on Court TV.
That would have a beef against your ex-husband?
He's, oh my God.
I hate to ask it now, but I have to do it now. You understand, right?
I understand. He had friends. He always meant well, but he would sometimes rub people the wrong way.
Wendi Adelson claims that nobody had beef with Dan Markel, but that's not entirely true because she herself was in a bitter custody battle with him. In fact, she told police that Danny's parents would probably point the finger at her for his murder.
Have you had anything happen at your house?
No.
Nothing? And the information for Best Buy, for the service tech that was there, that's at your house?
I'd be happy. I mean, if someone wants to come back with me.
We'll get that. And that was basically from when he came out there to serve, well, I guess to replace the TV.
He came out to fix it and then told me that what was wrong with it wasn't fixable.
Right.
And so I called Charlie to find out, should I buy a new one or should I fix this one? And he was like, just buy a new one. And
And once he left, do you remember what time the serviceman left?
probably around 10, before 10.
Okay.
And then I left by 12.
But between that time, between 10 and 12, you were by yourself working on your papers and stuff.
Yeah.
Were you doing on papers or computer?
It was all on computer, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, I sent some edits in to someone at the law library during that time.
Okay.
I called a few friends. I sent some texts. I mean, all of that'll be
on the phone.
On the phone.
Or you call from your house phone?
I don't have a house phone.
Okay, you use all your communications is over your cell phone?
Yeah.
Do you have more than one cell phone?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm going to introduce you to a victim advocate. She's going to be very helpful. And she's going to, once the phone comes back, she'll get the numbers for his folks. Hey, you're saying everybody's in Canada. Is that correct? On his side of the family?
His family's in Canada.
Okay, Alberta?
No, his mom and dad, his immediate family is in Toronto.
Okay.
His aunts and uncles and cousins are all in Montreal. Everyone's English speaking.
Okay.
Any family no family in the States. They're all in Canada.
And that's where he's from originally?
He's from there. He came here for college and never left. So he's 41 and he's been here since he was 18.
Did he go to FSU for law school?
No.
Okay. Where did he go to law school?
Harvard.
Harvard, okay. And then he got a position as a professor?
We moved up here for his job.
So you were in New York too?
No. I've never lived in New York. Oh. I was actually at University of Miami going to law school. We met, we got engaged, and then I was going to do my last year of law school up here. So in 2005, we moved here. He was a professor and I was a student for one more year. And then we moved back to Miami for a year, and then we moved here for a year. The reason why I say his parents are going to say I did it is because after we got divorced, I wanted to move to South Florida, and I filed a petition to relocate in the court, and the court said no. So
because of the kids.
Yeah. So you can always leave, you just can't leave with your kids. So, we're in Tallahassee because of Danny's job. So
he taught at UM before he came up here?
He didn't. He had that year at FSU, and then UM said they wanted to hire him, so I worked there for a year. He worked there for half a year. We commuted back and forth to FSU, and then UM didn't hire him, and so we moved back to FSU. Okay. And I've been here since the 07 school year.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go get the victim advocate, all right, and introduce you to her. And as soon as we get your phone back, I'll probably want you to show me some of those text messages. I know it's going to be on the record, but I may want to ask you that, and then we'll try to get everything expedited so you can be there when your kids get picked up from school.
Right, because the alternative would be like a police officer.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. I want you to come pick them up.
Instead of a police officer, if it can't be me, I'd rather it be like a family friend or something.
Well, we could do that too.
I'm just saying, I do not want. I think they'll get really scared.
No. All the officer has done is checked on your children and made sure they're at school. We just had to find out where they were and where you were. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, what do you think so far, my friends? Let me bring in my guests now. Attorneys Josh Ritter and Carl Steinbeck watching along remotely for us. Josh, start us off, please. Your thoughts at this point in the interview.
It's really remarkable to watch this because we know so much now that this officer didn't know at the time. And I think that's important to keep in mind that he's, just starting to investigate a murder. And what do you do when you're investigating a murder is your immediate suspects are going to be the spouse. And now you're finding out the spouse is going through this divorce. And now you're finding out that the divorce was perhaps contentious. You're finding out that there's a custody issue taking place. She just said in that interview that the whole reason she's living there is because she has to be there because of his job, whereas if she had her way, she would move to a different part of Florida with the children. So already you can see why she would be a person they would consider a suspect, but he has to kind of temper his suspicions because this is also his best witness to help him gather information about other people who may have wanted to have this man.
That's a good point, Josh. He's got to walk that line.
From what we know now.
Right. Yeah, he's doing a great job here. Agree. Carl, a specific question for you, please. When we heard the detective talking about whether Danny owed anybody money, I'm sure you got this when Wendi said, yeah, me, and she kind of laughed and sort of made it like a joke because of the custody proceedings. What did she mean by that?
Well, there was a battle of money between her and Dan because Dan owed her like over $100,000 as a part of the marital settlement agreement. But what happened was Dan was saying, I shouldn't have to pay that to the judge because she misled on how much assets she had from the marital community assets. She said he was saying that she had $500,000 she withheld as well as that ring I mentioned earlier. So there was a huge issue about money as well as this ring that she's completely avoiding here. And keep in mind that she's looking so cooperative now, and look how it helped her because 68 minutes into the interview, she's being brought a victim advocate. That's not done on a suspect. So this whole plan, I think, was reverse psychology. She was able to cooperate it looks like she's cooperating a whole lot initially, but keep in mind, a couple days later when they called her up and said, hey, we want to bring you back in, she's saying, well, I can't hear you very good. I'm on my way to Miami. And 5 minutes later, her defense lawyer calls up and says she's not cooperating with you.
That's a good point, Carl. The cooperation didn't last long. Let's take a look back at her on the stand during her brother Charlie's trial.
Quote, it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman and it was cheaper to get you this TV. Is that what he said?
That was the joke that he made, yes.
And hiring the hitman, that was to kill Dan Markel, right? That was the joke.
That was the joke that he made in poor taste, yes.
Not to kill someone else.
No. Well, he never used his name.
Okay. Well, he's hiring you the TV because it's cheaper as a divorce present than a hitman. Who else would he be hitting with the hitman?
I never really thought about it because it was not a thing that he meant. He just made a bad joke.
Real bad joke because what he was joking about actually happened, as we know. Josh Ritter, looking at her testimony at the trial, do you think she came off as believable?
I do. I mean, there was nothing about her testimony that I felt was so awful that you could point at it and say, this person is clearly not telling the truth. I mean, she's obviously, been consulting with an attorney. She's obviously prepared. She's obviously got the way that she would like to answer certain questions, and she's obviously got an agenda, but I didn't feel that I could throw the whole thing out because she was not trustworthy.
Yeah, I think what bothered me the most, it's not what she said, but how she says it. Her affect is just weird to me, isn't it? It's just weird, the way she looks. Like, to me, when I was watching her, I kept thinking dumb like a fox. She's playing dumb like a fox. She knows exactly what she's doing, my opinion. Carl, I want to get your thoughts before we have to hit a break. How did you think she came off at trial?
I think she's progressively gotten worse. In fact, she came across so bad at this last trial that Georgia, the prosecutor, brought in an FBI witness to talk about how she lied about whether she was dating other people at the time she was dating Jeff Lacasse, whether she was denying grandparent visitations to the Markel from Canada. So they had some huge daggers there against her to impeach her. And keep in mind, Georgia, in her closing, alleged that she had framed Jeff Lacasse, and she was dating him for 8 months. So who would set somebody up for an 8-month framing
to be the fall guy and have law enforcement go after him for a murder if you weren't involved in it.
Right, Carl. That's a great point to end on. This is sinister stuff here.